If we're Gucci and we're launching our next ad campaign, how do we do that to Gen Z?
2/3 of Gen Z and Gen Alpha want to be content creators. 2026, I think the 95% of the content online is going to be either bot or AI generated.
That's fucking scary.
We're not going to name all the brands who kind of do that as well, but so many brands have that. Just under half of Generation Alpha trust advice from creators more than they trust from their own friends and family. It does feel like a revolution now.
Welcome to the Decode Sessions, where we decode everything in the world of fashion and culture so it makes sense to everyone from your 70-year-old mum to your 7-year-old daughter. We teach you everything you need to know, plus a few things you didn't. Today is a particularly interesting episode in that regard because today we're going to be taught everything we need to know about trends and insights for future generations and for influencers. We are going to be given some mind-boggling stats in terms of what's happening in the next year, what future generations want to do and aspire to. It's a lot of stuff that I can't even wrap my head around. So let's get into it. So with me today, I have Paul Nesbitt, one of the sharpest minds that decodes exactly this. As head of insight at Nebula, he helps brands make sense of the ever-changing creator economy, influencer economy, and the generation that is Gen Z.
That's good. Thank you very much.
Welcome to the show. Can you please explain to us what it is that you do? And the magic that's being created behind the scenes.
Absolutely. So I can distill it down into a couple of different ways. Nebula was set up a couple of months ago, and it's been a very big passion project of mine because what I've worked in the creator economy spaces, I've worked in gaming spaces for a number of years, and the same questions keep on coming up from brands. It's like, how do I effectively communicate or connect with audience in those spaces? So I knew there was an opportunity there to kind of help brands kind of navigate that space. But I think more importantly, when people use research and insights, they tend to either just look at their measurement, or they tend to look at cultural insights, or they just do kind of primary research around there. And not often are they kind of putting all those different types of insight packages together as well. So I wanted to create an agency which looked at all different levels. So you look at kind of what's happening in culture, you look at what's happening in consumer behavior, you're tying that back to measurement systems and using that to really kind of help brands kind of navigate this space as well. But the primary reason I wanted to do it and set up Nebula is because I feel there's a lot of energy around the creator economy at the moment. There's a lot of excitement around there, and there's a lot of, advertising dollars moving towards it. But obviously what you see within the creator economy as well is, yes, it's a great space to engage with consumers, but there are also challenges in there to a degree. I think one of the things I'm concerned about when I've looked in the creator economy is how creators tend to be kind of burning themselves out quite a lot with producing content for brands, etc. as well. So I wanted to create an agency which was able to produce thought leadership, which can kind of raise those issues, but then look at how brands can then start to work with creators and partners, but actually then start to solve for some of those problems as well within the creator economy. So part of what I'm doing is about creating really great experiences within the creator economy and trying to help with some of the challenges as well as helping brands navigate it.
Oh, I love that. So it's partly helping brands succeed better, but it's also helping influencers succeed better when they work with brands.
Exactly. So because as all the sort of advertising dollars flow towards there, that you've got really young creators there who are now having to run their content like businesses, or they feel there's a huge demand to keep on growing audiences or creating more and more content to please kind of advertiser demands as well. So I think there's definitely a role to play for particularly people I feel who worked in media for years to helping people within the creator economy, like I said, highlight some of the challenges they're going through, but also helping them connect with brands a lot better as well. So it becomes a great space for everybody.
Oh, I like that. And it makes it kind of humanizes our world a little bit as well.
Exactly.
It makes it less about just pushing the next product to people in the smartest way, but also how you can do good. We actually, We had someone on the show last week, a girl called Kavita, she calls herself, influencer now, but she's one of the original bloggers. She's been around for over 10 years, and we spoke about how things have changed and how she looks at things from she's now a mum of 3, and she has a slightly different view on things than you might do when you kind of step into the game as early 20 something. Because what we see often with the talents that we work with is where I can sense that there's also a lot of stress around this new way of working, this new 100%. work environment that has been created for these people, where you basically, you are your own boss and you are putting together your own schedules and you are the master of so many different things. And it's, I think it can be, mentally quite challenging.
Absolutely. And I think the if we don't start thinking about it that way, how we can make it easier for creators in this space, and this problem's only going to explode more. So I think if you look at, I think it's in the US now, it's about 2/3 of kind of Gen Z and Gen Alpha want to be content creators.
2/3?
Yeah. It's a
okay,
huge
let's just
amount.
repeat this. 2/3 of the generations to come want to be influencers.
Exactly. So you've got a whole, cohort of people coming through now who have aspirations to be creators. They won't all make it, but a lot of them are going to be trying. And I think as the market saturates, the revenue opportunities are going to get harder to chase. It's going to put more people under pressure to then start creating content to kind of chase that revenue. So I think unless there's that education, those systems in there kind of protecting these content creators and making sure that they are building businesses in an efficient way, but also a healthy way, I think that problem's only going to, like I said, propel and kind of grow as well. So that's why I think it's very, very important to not just think about what the brand can get out of the creator economy, but also think about what creators are getting out of it and how do they start to mature as businesses.
And keeping OnlyFans away from them.
Yes.
I'm joking.
Well, I try not to be judgmental on the creator economy. It's for everybody to do what they please, but some bits are more for me than others.
Yes. I mean, it's not a new thing. I've been in the influencer space for almost 10 years now, but it still feels like it's a bit of a mystery to some people. Like I still hear people talking about it as hype, but it's definitely not hype, right?
No.
It's a genuine revolution.
I would never describe it as hype because to your point, this industry has been growing across the last 10 years, but it's been kind of changing and evolving. I like one of the words you kind of used earlier when we were talking around kind of revolution, because I think it does feel like a revolution now, because we're at that turning point where I feel that creators have the trust and the ears of all the consumers, and you see this shift away from traditional media in that sense. Another fun stat for you, I think it's just under half of Generation Alpha trusts creators, or advice from creators, more than they trust from their own friends and family. Now that, again,
it doesn't give me much hope.
No, it's
for my daughter, my family.
It's quite crazy to comprehend, because I've been doing research and surveys for years, and whenever you ask, who do you trust, friends and family always comes up top. But now actually creators are kind of taking that place in terms of trust as well. So I think that's where we're starting to see the revolution, that shift away from traditional media, and that's kind of happening right now. But the evolution, as you say, it just keeps on changing. And I think we've seen kind of this shift from, I saw influencers in kind of the early years on kind of Instagram, which kind of held consumers' engagement because consumers thought they were more relatable than kind of traditional media. And we saw that kind of shift happen. You come along towards the pandemic, then all of a sudden creators come up, which is something a little bit more kind of raw and authentic. So the attention's kind of shifting there. And even now, if you kind of look at kind of authenticity, or you see what's happening on some of these kind of social platforms, authentic content has become a little bit kind of more formulaic again. People know what know how to make more of an authentic video, and even that is going to cause another shift away from these consumers to look for something which again they prescribe as authentic, but it'd be a little bit more different than it is now. So to your point, it's not hype, but it's certainly kind of evolving over the years. And I think one of the things, to your point, why it's so scary for people is it changes very, very, very quickly. So being authentic and being relevant is getting harder than ever.
Yeah, and I think if we were to just simplify that a little bit to, as we always say, to my 7-year-old daughter and my 7-year-old mum, it is based, so what we could probably say then is when this all started, it was all quite polished, Instagram was the main platform, and we've then seen an evolution in the content moving over to, especially for younger generations, like the more TikTok style content that we're seeing now, which is absolutely not about what it used to be, and not about being polished, not about being laid out in a perfect way. Now it's about quirkiness and realness, and God knows what it's going to be tomorrow.
Human connection, all those wonderful things. And then and I think the point around there is this this humanness or this quirkiness can become a little bit kind of formulaic as well. And I'll give you another example of kind of what I see as well, because I'm obviously quite big on LinkedIn. That's where we kind of connect with audiences. And I attended a webinar the other day where they're going, okay, this is how you kind of grow audiences and connect people on LinkedIn. But there's a whole process and formula to making yourself appear kind of more human and kind of more relatable, and the words you use and the amount of kind of posts you put out there, and how if you get people to repost your post 5 times, then it's going to go more viral as well. So I think when that kind of happens and when it becomes popular, that's when you start to see what you thought was authentic stop being authentic, and then you see culture shifts again, and it kind of moves again as well.
When it starts to get scripted,
that's
when a new subculture
comes along as well. And we saw that with the transition from Instagram to TikTok. But the really confusing thing is for brands and marketers, it's always the younger generations which tend to pick up these new trends or this new level of authenticity. If you speak to anybody who's kind of older, when I say maybe kind of over the age of 50, traditional media is still doing the job, and they're still trusted sources. So it still stays with those kind of older audiences, but the younger audiences are gravitating towards something different, which makes the marketing mix a lot more complicated.
Can one say this is what brands are still getting wrong, or is it impossible to simplify it like that?
I don't think all brands are getting it wrong.
No. I just mean this is one thing that I see brands are still.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one because it's. I think the challenge with brands now, and I think connecting with kind of younger generations compared to what it was, say, 10 years ago. Culture now is moving at a rate faster than what we've ever seen before, because of the internet, because everybody's connected, because everybody is participating in communities which can produce kind of subcultures overnight. So I'll give you another example of how fast kind of culture moves right now. If you think about slang words when they used to enter the vocabulary and become popular, say 80, 100 years ago, for the first time that slang word is uttered, till it gets into kind of the general speak of populations, it would take about 5 years. It can now happen in 24 hours because communities, a creator can say this new slang word, their community gets behind it, they start repeating it, and it kind of breaks into culture much quicker as well. So that is the speed at which culture is moving right now. So it's not so much that brands are getting it wrong, it's very hard for brands to keep up. And I think that's why the creator economy is so interesting. And when you look at brands and how they're engaging with the creator economy, because it's not necessarily about putting your brand into the creator space in the way that you want it. It's trusting creators to be the ambassador for your brands, because they're going to know how to speak to their communities probably better than you. And it's better to have a creator doing it than you as a brand having to learn the language and then become relevant as well.
I mean, it's tricky, isn't it? Because it feels like nowadays you can almost not, as a brand, create a successful case study and then use that case study to do your next project, because by the time that project has finished and that you've kind of evaluated it, the needle has moved again.
You need to be moving on to the next thing as well. It's a terrifying rate that what kind of culture moves at now. But like I said, there are ways of being relevant with culture, but it's not about you as a brand kind of pushing content out into the world. It's like, who do you partner with to kind of deliver that message?
Okay, so the kind of the key thing I'm taking from this is finding the right sort of communities around you when it comes to influencers and influential voices, and working with those, but also being agile in the sense of maybe moving with that community as well. So it's not always the same people, and kind of keeping your eyes peeled.
Absolutely keeping your eyes peeled.
For who's saying what.
Yes, exactly. So keep your eyes peeled what's happening in culture, understand kind of what you're aligning your brand with culture, but then also aligning your brand with the communities as well.
But you also, having said what I just said, you also don't want to be the brand that just jumps on every single thing that happens. Like, okay, I beat the final boss, I need to do something with him. Okay, next day I need to do something with this person.
Yeah,
that's not what we're saying.
It's no. You're just not going with completely different people all the time, because, like I said, the best brand and creator partnerships is there is a connection between them. The brands kind of share similar values, they support similar causes, and you have to find the right creators, the right communities which represent your brand. And that's the level of control you now have as a brand. It's like, who am I going to partner with who kind of reflects my values? And that's where you that's where you get the best connection, I think, between kind of brands, creators, and consumers. It all kind of works together. You can't just chase every hype creator and kind of build your audience. That's not what you want to be doing.
So you identify the type of community that you want to be connected with, and then you work within that.
Within that
is what I'm hearing.
Exactly, and collaborate within that. Collaborate is my favorite word within the creator economy, because the creator economy is built on collaborations between brands, collaborations between creators and different creators within that space. So it's, which community am I going to collaborate with, and where does it make sense for my brand to collaborate?
You and I used to work at Condé Nast together, and that's how we know each other. And I'm actually going to share a little thing from back then, which is ultimately why I'm sitting here today. It's because I did a lot of work with influencers and creating content with influencers when I was at Condé. But it was difficult to implement it in that collaborative way, because the titles at Condé Nast, especially Vogue, were very used to doing things their way and having the final say. And that final say created so much of a hurdle in working with influencers that I effectively felt after my last project that I couldn't do that anymore, because by the time we were okay with what they'd produced and approved it and gone through all the rounds of, reviews internally, the train had passed.
Train's gone.
It was gone. They were somewhere else doing something else, and we're not that keen to post it anymore. And that's when you know that.
And that's the real challenge. You just hit it on the head. And I think, like, even a few years ago, I mean, that was always the tension, right, between kind of brands. And it's really, really hard for brands. Brands have built up their values and what they stand for hundreds of years, and all of a sudden you've got to say, okay, I'm going to let go of those brand values and kind of partner with somebody who's been here for kind of 5 minutes. It's an incredibly tough choice to kind of make, but it's come to the point now, whereas maybe 4, 5, 6 years ago you could get away with it and still hold on to your kind of brand parameters. Now, if you do not let them go, it's like nobody's going to listen to you, and culture is going to move again before you can even get your foot in the door as well. So it's table stakes now.
Again, Vogue is a very good example of that, and I'm definitely not saying that Vogue hasn't done that, but where we were at then was exactly that. Like, our brand and what we stand for is it needs to be so protected that we can't let go.
Yes, and it's very, very tough. So like I'm not going to name all the brands who kind of do that as well, but so many brands have that. Like, I was working kind of at Twitch for kind of many years before that, and the way when we were talking to brands when they're coming onto Twitch, because Twitch is, it was live streaming, it was creators, it wasn't just posting images which can kind of get approved. It's like once it's live and it's out there, it's actually out there. And just getting brands really, really comfortable with that space was challenging for some, because some were there going, okay, I'm going to have to let loose of my brand control. And we're like, no. There's ways that you can kind of dip into these spaces. You can support creators by putting advertising just around their channel and some really, really light sponsorship. That kind of builds your relevance within the communities. And once you get a little bit more comfortable, you can work with creators, but our brand partnership studio at Twitch at the time were responsible for making sure that brands were partnered with the right creators, the one where there's a bit of a synergy between them as well. And that was the way that we were able to kind of say, okay, yeah, you've got some strict brand guidelines, but let's loosen them down a bit and let's let the creators kind of express themselves as well. So there's ways of kind of coming in, but it's not unusual to hear brands going, oh, I'm going to have to give away creative control, all these things I built up. But I also understand that, because it takes hundreds of years to build up those brands, and there's a real fear once you go into the creator economy that you could lose your brand overnight, and the risks are there if you get it wrong as well. So yeah.
Well, it's a fine balance, and I think we see. I also think we see many brands nowadays that some brands that we might get introduced to for the first time as an agency, and we look at them and we're like, what do they stand for? What is this? We did a review of one brand a couple of weeks ago, and we're like, who are they actually speaking to? Because we see a couple of very different target audiences displayed in their content and in their tone of voice. And this is a brand that's not based in the UK and trying to kind of succeed in the UK. And we were like, but you need to decide who you want to be and who you're for.
That's the most important thing right now.
A lot of how they were communicating was through influencer content, which made it confusing.
Yes, of course,
because there was no clear strategy on who their community was and who their audience should be.
But you've touched on an excellent point. Before you even start to enter the creator economy, you got to know who you are and what you stand for. Because if you as a brand do not know who you are or what you stand for or what your values are, how are you going to find the right partnerships within the creator economy? Because there's so many different people you can partner with. And like I said, if you don't know who you are and what you stand for, and then you say, okay, I'm going to follow these creators because they got big audiences, a big hype, and there's a big kind of mishmash of different types of creators, then your message is going to get diluted even more as well. So like I said, start with the brand, understand your purpose, understand your values, find creators who are kind of aligned with your values, and that's where you'll start to see success.
I'm going to say something that not everyone's going to love, but I feel like I come from the creative industry. I come from creative agencies where it's always brand first. It's always about how things are perceived and how the brand is perceived. I think the influencer world has kind of fallen under the remit of communications and PR, because it was when it was born, it was kind of it was labeled as digital PR.
Yes,
that's what we called it. There were two sides to PR. There was press, which are the traditional journalist contacts, and there were influencers. Therefore, a lot of brands' influencer relationships have fallen under communication departments or communication agencies.
Makes sense,
not under creative departments.
Exactly.
So it comes from more of a numbers game, which I feel PR often is. It's all about it's about eyeballs. It's about how many people read this, how many people saw this, how many people did this go to, rather than being a qualitative game of let me make an example. An example can be we as a PR agency, we sent your product to 20 influencers. Whereas I would say, me as your creative brand guardian, I sent your product to 2 people. Because they were the right people to send it to.
Exactly.
Because of those 15 people, maybe 12 were wrong.
Exactly.
Or maybe 14 were wrong. And then it creates more damage than... But the numbers are better over there. My numbers are shit. Because I had 2 micro-influencers. But over there you had 15 big influencers. But they were all over the place.
But nobody in your 2 influencers which you picked, like you said, the numbers they were looking at was size and scale. and nobody was looking at kind of the connection they were able to build with those audiences as well. And you've touched on one of the fundamental problems, I would say, with measurement within the creator economy, which we're looking at the moment. Everybody is still looking at the big numbers, what I call the vanity metric. So how many followers do they have? How many likes are they getting? Which is
every single brand we speak to. Every single brand.
Everybody's looking at vanity metrics, but what you want to be measuring in the creator economy is you want to be measuring that audience connection. And the reason why I say that is culture is just moving in this direction anyway. If you look at where audience eyeballs are going, yes, large influencers, celebrities, they get a lot of attention, they got a lot of reach. But actually where consumers are starting to gravitate towards is they're moving more towards kind of micro, smaller communities, which are more specific around their interests. But it's not just that. When they're in those digital communities, they can actually have a genuine connection with the influencer or with the rest of their community. So actually, everybody is moving kind of down this kind of community funnel to these kind of small places. And it's driven by many things. If you look at I'm going to get real cultural nerdy now. If you look at the kind of the broader things which are happening with culture amongst kind of these younger generations, one of the first things we see is kind of this increased feeling of isolation and loneliness amongst kind of Gen Z and Gen Alpha. It's kind of at its highest what we've seen in other generations before. Because they're so digitally connected, but they're spending lots of time on their own. So because they're feeling a lot more isolated, they're shifting towards more in real life experiences, but also the communities they're moving towards are actually getting a lot smaller as well. So you're going to see kind of more and more and more of these shifts. And I think one of the other factors in there which is going to drive people towards more human connection, smaller communities, is kind of that wonderful thing called AI, which everybody keeps on talking about. But if you look at the internet now and how much AI content is being generated, I've seen stats saying that by 2026, I think the 95% of the content online is going to be either bot or AI generated.
Hang on, we need to pause on that as well, because it's fucking scary. Say it again.
It's a terrible stat, but I've seen stats which are predicting as much as around 95% of the content online in digital spaces is going to be either AI or kind of bot generated in 2026.
Well, at least we know. I mean, I was with someone yesterday who said to me, I don't know what's real in my feed anymore and what's fake. But then by what you just said, at least we know that it's all fake.
Yeah, it's exactly. The majority of it is going to be fake, and that's going to put more of a premium on kind of human connection again, and it's going to push these younger generations again more towards real life, more towards these kind of smaller communities. So to your point around kind of these smaller micro influencers which are right for your brand, yes, they're right for your brand in a number of ways. One, because they're more of a good fit, but actually the deep connection amongst audiences is going to exist in these micro and these nano communities. And if I was a brand, that's where I'd want to be starting to build my partnerships. Now, more tricky, because to get the scale, you need to work with more of them, but actually that deeper connection is going to become even more important.
I need you in all my client meetings. Because also what you just said proves that there is a real need for brands to call in external help, because I think it's impossible when you're on the inside to be, well, one is the kind of traditional why people are using agencies. It's impossible to keep up with everything that's going on, and it's good to have an agency because they work with multiple different brands, so therefore they'll be able to, you know, tell you things that you might not have seen yourself. But I also think if we are moving from working with a handful of bigger creators to now maybe having to use, you know, a much bigger cohort of micro influencers, that takes a lot of work.
It takes
and you need professional support. You can find it right here and right there. So Jen said, why, I mean, we've already said it, but if we were to summarize it, why are they such a mystery?
I think it's to that point I kind of made earlier, because culture is moving so much faster now. When I look at kind of research data, I look at insights, my favorite age break to cut now within data is like over 40s and under 30s. Oh, sorry, over 40s and under 40s. Over 40s and under 40s. I'm going to say that properly now. I keep on changing because I move that little mark every kind of year as we go over there as well. But when you look at the world in the over 40s, it looks familiar to what I kind of grew up in. There's still a lot more prominence amongst kind of established media, everything kind of moves a little bit slower. When you look at the world under 40, it's just moving kind of so much faster. And those needs and values are very, very, very different. But also they're kind of, they're transforming on a daily basis as well. So I think that's why they find it so hard. Some of the interesting things I find around kind of Gen Z, like I said, that demand for authenticity is kind of table stakes, and authenticity is kind of a moving target. The media they've had around them kind of growing up is very, very, very different to what I was exposed to. I sit in the over 40 bucket as well. But they spend so much time in immersive gaming environments, and people don't understand that now. That actually, when you look at those younger generations, there's around, it depends on which stat you look at and who kind of puts it out there, but somewhere between 70 and 90% of them are spending a lot of their time gaming. Now, it's not gaming design.
But it's a lot more women as well than we think.
Yeah,
a big percentage of that percentage that you just mentioned are actually women, which when I found out, to me that was mind-blowing, because I thought it was mainly young guys.
It's not. If you look at the Gen Z and Gen Alpha, and if you look at those numbers, it's anywhere between 70 and 90% of that whole generational cohort are gaming. That, you know, there's equal amount of male and female in there as well. So there's a lot of females gaming, but now it's becoming like everybody is doing it. But what people don't see is how that impacts how they choose to engage with brands and content. Because if you're growing up in your formative years between 6 and 20, for example, and you're spending a lot of time and putting a lot of attention into gaming environments, and it could be console gaming at the more extreme end, or it could be like Roblox or some sort of social gaming on the more kind of casual end of it, your expectations around content are completely going to change. Your expectation if you're playing Roblox or Fortnite when you're much younger, you're going into digital worlds and digital environments, and yes, you're playing, but you're also socializing and you're also creating at the same time. So you feel now that actually when you engage in content, your expectation is that you create within these spaces. And I think the reason why brands find this quite complicated is because they go, okay, we're going to put some content in front of you. We're going to put some advertising in front of you. We're going to show you how amazing our brand is, or show you how amazing our product is. For you to look at, exactly. Or we're going to broadcast to you is kind of the terms which we use now.
No interaction.
No interaction at all. And these younger generations now, they're going, well, how do I interact with it? How do I be part of it? And the most extreme end of it, they're going, well, how do I just rip it up, remix it, and create it? And I think a lot of brands, that's so foreign in terms of how we've actually communicated in content and advertising for the best part of 30 years. Understanding those dynamics and understand those expectations is really, really, really hard. But also then to fulfill those needs, you need to start looking at your own internal creative teams and going, have I got the right teams to be able to create content and experiences which can fulfill those play needs or those creative needs, or have we got the right platforms in place there where we can kind of facilitate that as well? So first of all, understanding what I guess drives this generation is very, very, very hard, and then looking at your own business and go, well, are we equipped to fulfill the needs of this generation? Even harder for them as well.
This is a bit of a tricky question. I'm not expecting you to be able to answer, but maybe we can play with it.
Let's have a go.
If we're Gucci.
Yes.
And we're launching our next ad campaign.
Yeah.
How do we do that to Gen Z?
To Gen Z. Okay,
Based on what you just described, how they live in these worlds where they play, socialize, and...
Okay, let's put it onto a platform that I'm probably most familiar with. So I spend a lot of my time on there working with brands on there. So say a platform like Twitch, for example, which is a live stream environment. It has very, very specific rules around kind of branded content and what people expect. So on Twitch, it's a live stream service. Creators kind of stream their own shows. They can do them for anything between kind of like 30 minutes or kind of 2 hours. They stream from anywhere. And the attention these streams get, it's kind of around sort of average, it's about sort of 2 hours from a consumer. So it's a huge attention space.
That's really long.
It's really long.
So just for those of us who are not familiar with Twitch, this is like YouTube but live.
Yeah, it's like YouTube Live.
Okay.
So basically, it's live TV. It's how Gen Z kind of it's TV for Gen Z.
It's TV the way we knew it,
yes.
but you can choose.
But yes, but you can kind of interact with it. So you have the chat functions down on the back, and the creator will interact directly with the audience. So it's a full-blown interactive experience, but also the audience can kind of interact with each other when you're going around it as well.
Is this what we're saying, that an Italian luxury house that has been safeguarding their brand for hundreds of years is now going to do?
Is now going to have to start thinking about how do they start playing in those spaces, because like when I was working on Twitch actually sort of 4 or 5 years ago, it was an emerging platform, it was an emerging experience. But if you look at the growth now and kind of live content in social spaces beyond Twitch, it's on the growing. So it's where consumer attention is kind of shifting to. So as a brand like Gucci, you now got to start thinking, okay, how do I start creating content which was in a live experience? But more importantly, I think when you're a brand and you're thinking about going into these spaces, you need to understand the rules and the expectations of a place like Twitch. So if you're in somewhere like Twitch, the audience is expecting, they're really, really open for brands to be playing in those spaces. Any brand is invited, and I've seen loads of stats which kind of confirm that. But when you enter the community space, you gotta understand what consumers need. So if you're going to build an activation with them, you got to be thinking, how am I going to encourage consumers to play with my experience, for example? Now, a brand like Gucci, it could be as simple as going, okay, I'm going to identify a gaming creator who also has a strong fashion following, and there are plenty of them on Twitch. You know, gaming creators started as gaming creators, but also, funny enough, they have other interests as well. Some are actually interested in fashion. So you go, okay, cool, I'm going to go find a fashion creator now. But when I'm within that channel, within that environment, I'm there going, how the expectation is interaction, the expectation is play. So perhaps I can start doing some sort of fashion quiz between Gucci and the creator and the audience. And that is what's going to build your engagement, because you're understanding the rules of these environments, but you're also playing to the needs of this generation, which is interactivity, or in the case of in a space like Twitch, more around play as well. So for me, that's where these brands have to start to get comfortable. On TikTok, again, it'll be something slightly different, but that's what you need to start thinking about.
Love it. I'm nodding, shaking,
Yeah.
doing. For those of you who are listening, I'm just
if you
digesting.
I think if you want another fun stat, I think it's somewhere around 80% of Gen Z want brands to give them their IP to play with.
Say that again.
80% of Gen Z desire brands to give them their brand IP for them to play and recreate with as well. If you can do that, you're going to be hitting a big need of this audience.
How would you do that? Let's go back to Gucci.
So if I was Gucci, they're going, okay, what are my brand assets I could give to this audience to play with? Okay, I'll give you enough. And I've been I've been talking about this for a while in terms of how you could engage a community space. If you'll say a fashion brand. Traditionally, as a fashion brand, you'll create a product, you'll put it on the catwalks, you'll take it out to market, you'll get people to buy it, you may get some influencers to kind of show it for you. If you're thinking about a community space and how you can bring people into these community spaces, I would be going to some of these broad communities, work with creators and say, hey community, today we're going to create the latest Gucci t-shirt. We're going to be working with Gucci. I, as your creator, is going to be kind of building this product, and then actually you as a community are going to get to feed into this product, and the end product of this line is going to be created by the creator, the brand, and the community. If you think some of these communities have upwards of, 100, 200,000 kind of people following them, all of a sudden you have an audience there who's ready to kind of buy this product and promote it and talk about it. Those are the different dynamics which the brands need to be starting to think about and playing about now. And that's how you're going to build love, interaction, loyalty amongst these audiences. I'm
sitting here thinking that what you just described, it can actually be even simpler than that. It can be, the collection can be there, but it can be through styling. But to date, when a brand works with an influencer, the sort of rules around the influencer's engagement with the brand is that they cannot wear anything else than that brand.
Yeah.
And that immediately, and they have to choose the key pieces from the collection. So already you've narrowed it down, and you've narrowed it down.
Exactly.
So you've made it really prescriptive. But if you gave what you just said, if you give the latest Gucci collection to this community and say to them, style it as you want, do what you want with it, and you are the campaign for this.
It's exactly that.
And what we keep saying to brands is, okay, I get it. You are Levi's, you don't want Wrangler jeans in your ad.
Yeah.
But vintage should be fine.
Exactly.
No, but then you can't buy it.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
It's really just elevating that other piece by pairing it with something.
It's exactly that,
Imagine you'd I think Gucci, you'll get this for free. So you have a community, they style your next collection, they can bring in vintage pieces, they can do it however they want, and they can create their own expression of how they want this to be shot.
Exactly.
Where they want it to be shot.
Exactly.
Is it in their favorite, like, chicken shop, Amelia de Moldenberg? I don't know.
It's exactly that, and like the brand then retains the control that they need, not the control that they think they need, but there's a collaboration between kind of all parties on there as well. And then also as a brand, you're there going, okay, now I understand how community dynamics work, so I can take those learnings and those insights from doing this kind of activation
for my next collection.
How I'm going to do it. Yeah, exactly. So if I was brand, and I've been speaking about this for many years at Twitch, before Twitch, after Twitch, about actually that collaboration between the communities and creating a product together. I don't know why more and more brands don't do this. I really don't. I'm there going, it feels like a no-brainer to me, but maybe there's some difficulty in the mechanics I don't understand.
Paul, I could talk to you about this for hours, but it's just proven that we need a little bit more Paul in our lives. we think that we got it nailed when we're speaking to our clients, but I need the ammunition, like the additional ammunition of you.
The insights,
for sure.
Absolutely.
And we need to do another episode together because there was so much stuff we were going to talk about. We kind of got stuck on the influencer side of things, and a bit of Jen said we were going to talk about data and insights and all of that stuff as well. Yeah. Let's do that episode 2.
Let's do it again. The best thing is, by the time we do it again, culture would have moved again as well, so we can talk about all new things.
Maybe we have to do this episode one more time in exactly the same way.
Yep.
But it will be different examples. Thank you so much, Paul.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. Thank you for having me.
And that's it from today. Thank you for listening, and please don't forget to follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, whatever your podcast listening tool of choices, but also please follow us on social media at Decode Collective, at Decode Sessions. Thank you.